Hold on, please. And we are live.
Well, good morning, and I'm hereby calling to order the meeting of the Board of Regents for Higher Education for this date. Pleased to welcome you all and wish you all a joyous holiday season and a wonderful 2022 while I have the opportunity. We'll start with a call of the roll.
Thank you. Chair Fleury.
Here.
Regent Harris.
Here.
Regent Balducci.
Here.
Regent Budd.
Here.
Regent Gray Kemp. Absence is noted. Regent Howery.
Here.
Regent Jimenez. Absence is noted. Regent Porth. Absence is noted. Regent Ryan.
Here.
Regent Santiago.
Here.
Regent Wright.
Here.
Student Regent Noriega.
Here.
Student Regent Iovine.
Here.
President Blitz, Professor Blitz.
Thanks for the promotion, but I'll probably decline for the moment. Just get me into more trouble. Here.
Professor Sasanker.
Here.
Interim Commissioner Bartolomeo. Absence is noted. Commissioner Dutani. Absence is noted. Commissioner Lehman. Absence is noted. Commissioner Designate Russell Tucker. Absence is noted. And Chief Workforce Officer Valeries.
Present.
Thank
you. Chair Fleury, you have a quorum.
Well, thank you, and thanks to everyone who's been able to attend today. We appreciate it. Regarding the agenda, I'd like to make a motion to amend, to add 2 items and remove 1. So not a net gain for those looking for brevity, but hopefully not too burdensome for you. Adding a special resolution to recognize Dr. Harris for her contributions to the board and to the state. I'd like to also add an action item, which will be presented by the Executive Committee for the official appointment of Dr. Mike Rook as the interim president of Connecticut State Community College. And we're going to not need an executive session today, so we'll pull that out. So may I have a second for those amendments?
Second.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motions are approved and the agenda is amended. So now I'd like to call for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is amended and adopted. Thank you. As we near the end of the year, you know, I could regale you with a recount of the year behind us, but just to say it's wonderful that you all, we all are here, and that so many students, including our student regents, are gleefully looking at the end of another accomplished term and heading into a little bit of a break. And I'm sure that that is something that the faculty and staff and administrators look forward to as well. So to everybody involved, thank you and congratulations. We know that it's hard work made harder by the circumstances of the hour. So all the more credit and appreciation and recognition to you. We have some transitions to talk about today, not all of which I would celebrate, though I'm sure some of those involved are. But we want to thank 2 key members of the family at the administrative level. Dr. Jane Gates, who, as you know, served ably and brilliantly as our interim president, has retired. We're full of appreciation for her and her work and her contributions to public higher education. And we are also saying farewell to Dr. David Levinson, another extraordinary leader and educator with whom it's been a pleasure to work. And in his last role as interim president of Connecticut State Community College, has done a really exceptional job moving that forward. As was announced earlier this year, Dr. Gates and Dr. Levinson indeed were serious when they said that they were going to retire, and they were retiring this month. And our enterprise, our system, our students, and everybody you have touched in your service are stronger and better because of your contributions. We congratulate you both for your well-deserved retirements. We are indeed going to miss you. The strength and measure and dignity with which you served is just an example for all of us. And it's something I've found inspiring, and will continue to draw upon my experience with you for inspiration in our continued work here. Sadly, after you have moved on to other endeavors, hopefully enjoyable ones. Dr. Kluznik will step in as the interim system provost, and Dr. Rook, as referenced in the agenda, will serve as interim president of Connecticut State, and more about that appointment later in this meeting. There is some recognition, which I think is just immensely appropriate. President Cheng has awarded Dr. Levinson the honor of President Emeritus. Congratulations, Dr. Levinson. And during our Academic and Student Affairs Committee meeting in December on the 3rd, the Vice Chair read President Cheng's letter awarding the honor of Provost Emeritus to Dr. Gates, who also is abundantly deserving of that recognition. So congratulations to you both. On the board level, this is a day that I've worried about for a long time, and she has allowed us to avoid it longer than perhaps she might have had she not been such a generous, giving, and devoted person when it comes to our mission in the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities. But this is Dr. Harris's final meeting with the board as she retires, as her term finally comes to an end after many terms. And I think several of us will have something to say to her, and she may have sussed out that there are some special guests here observing her moment of recognition, and I'm sure that she's ready with the speed dial to holler at us for making such a fuss over her immediately after we conclude. So stand by, Merle. This could be painful, but it's all intended in the spirit of appreciation for you. We have a special guest to kick off our recognition of Regent Harris. Recently retired Regent Naomi Cohen is with us. And you may recall that when we recognized Naomi's service, one of the things that we recognized in particular was her flourish when it came to resolutions, her incredible contributions to edits of many, many kinds, to all manner of board materials and documents and policies, many of them very, very substantive. And here's one. So I'd like to reintroduce former Regent Naomi Cohen to read into the record a resolution honoring Dr. Harris. Naomi, it's so nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you all too, and this is a real pleasure for me. So on your behalf, here is the resolution. The Connecticut Board of Regents for Higher Education expresses its deepest respect and heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Merle W. Harris. Connecticut's history of higher education is filled with Merle Harris's remarkable achievements. From her earliest days in Connecticut's Department of Higher Education, during her tenure as president of Charter Oak State College and interim president of Central Connecticut State University, and as a professor of public policy and higher education at Charter Oak and at the University of Hartford, Merle's record is full of major successes and includes awards from the New England Board of Higher Education, the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame, and Central Connecticut State University that named her as a woman of influence. The education and empowerment of women has been a driving vision in Merle's professional life. To that end, she established a Women in Transition initiative to assist mothers to earn college degrees through distance learning. That pioneering effort helped Charter Oak State College become a nationally recognized public online college. Throughout her decade-long Board of Regents tenure, Merle's acumen and dedication have been the hallmarks of her service in many roles: as Vice Chair, Academic and Student Affairs Committee Chair, Executive Committee Member, and Chair and member of various presidential search committees. With hard work, grace, humility, and quiet leadership, Merle has always listened carefully, weighed issues thoughtfully, and sought inclusive decision-making. Under her stewardship, major academic initiatives were adopted, including a transfer and articulation policy benefiting students with clear academic pathways, tuition savings, and faster degree completion. Always a champion of fairness and justice, Merle's was a leading voice for adopting consistent, system-wide CSCU standards to maintain a safe, welcoming learning and working environment free from sexual misconduct. First and always, Merle has been a tireless advocate for meeting the diverse needs of all students, equipping them for the 21st century workforce, and assuring accessible, affordable, equitable education opportunities. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Board of Regents, on behalf of all students, faculty, and staff, applaud and thank Dr. Merle Harris for her invaluable and innumerable contributions to Connecticut higher education and for making a real difference in students' lives. The board has been indeed fortunate to call Merle our colleague, our mentor, our friend.
Thank you, Naomi. And that resolution will be dated here this date and presumably with an overwhelming vote of support. So let me move this personally with great appreciation and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. I think Regent Wright has the credits on the second on this one. So it was beautifully said and written, and I'm sure there are many more things we could say. I wanted to recognize that we're joined today by members of Merle's family. David, I know you're lurking back there in the library. It's nice to see you. Nobody knows more than you how special Merle is. And I see our friend Jonathan. Thanks for breaking away, Jonathan, for this. And Rebecca, I see you as well. So Harris's, I know how proud you are of Merle, and thank you for taking a moment to be here for this. And I'm glad to know you'll be spending more time with Merle in the very near future. Just to add on a personal note, Merle, how much I've appreciated serving with you as really the true leader through so much of our work. Your leadership of our Academic and Student Affairs Committee has been really nothing short of exemplary. I know it's been a heavy lift because of the extensive volume of work that comes through that committee, much of which we don't even discuss because it goes through the committee and ends up on consent agenda because it's been worked through by the faculty and staff and the committee so thoroughly. So it's always been with your stamp of approval that I've had comfort knowing that these matters were attended to so well. So thank you for your partnership. And also thank you for being the president of Charter Oak State College when I enrolled there, which seems like some years ago. It was a great experience, and you were that first phone call I remember very well. You said, "Yeah, this is a program you might want to consider." So let me ask Merle if you'd grace us with a couple of words and then call the vote on this resolution. And we are not hearing you because you're muted.
No, I
blame
know that.
David for that.
I unmuted. As you know, I have a problem sometimes with that. I'm completely overwhelmed. I saw Naomi and I knew I was in for trouble. But thank you so much. It was so beautifully expressed and I appreciate every word. One thing I want to do is to say thank you to all of you and so many of the people that I've worked with over the years. I hope I made a contribution to higher education, but I do know that everyone that I've worked with has made a contribution to my life, that I feel that I've had a very meaningful life. I've done the things I've wanted to do, and it's because so many people have worked with me and have really helped me along the way. No one achieves anything on their own. It's all the people that surround us that make a difference and allow us to do things. I'm going to continue to watch your work, and I know that you're going to continue to fight for students to make sure that higher education in Connecticut is inclusive and that we continue to work for diversity, equity, and inclusion and for quality higher education. So I will continue to watch your work. I won't be working with you, but I will be watching it along the way. And the one thing I would like to leave everyone with is the importance of working together. We can't accomplish anything on our own. As I said before, in my life, I've found that to be true. But faculty needs to work with the board needs to work with faculty. We really need to share ideas, not just concerns, but ideas and suggestions so that we have something to discuss and debate. If you don't do that, don't get anywhere. We see that problem on the national level, and I don't want to see it on the work that we're doing in Connecticut. So again, thank you all so much, and I will continue to watch everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Merle. I think the regents would be comfortable in agreement that the resolution says most of what we would say. If someone is intent upon adding something, this is the moment. If not, I'd like to go ahead and vote this resolution. So let's do so. Merle, with great thanks. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? Clearly not. So unanimously, we endorse everything that Naomi read. And we're so proud to say that we have been your colleague. In addition to this recognition today, the board, in consultation with President Cheng, has conferred a CSCU-wide honorary degree of Doctorate of Educational Leadership from Central to be awarded at their commencement exercises to you, Merle, in May. And I know among your stops was briefly the presidency at Central. So another point of recognition for you.
Can I just have one more minute? I have to have the last word. I just want to also thank my family. I know they're on. As you know, anything you do takes time from family, and they always were with me and actually made it possible for me to do things, including getting my doctorate when I wasn't a young person. They are the ones that watched me and supported me and made sure that I could go on with a career in higher education. So I want to publicly thank them.
Duly noted. And we thank them too. We know it was with their permission that we had so much of your time. So thank you to Merle and to the Harris family. And we're just eternally grateful. So, of course, these are shoes that are very challenging to fill, but the business of our board and our enterprise has to continue, and we have word from the governor's office of the appointment of a successor in academic and student affairs. I never use the term replacement in this context because we know that's not appropriate, but succession is a necessary part of life and organizations, and we have very strong succession plan with regard to our academic and student affairs work here. I am really looking forward to working with the governor's latest appointee to the Board of Regents, Professor Ira Bloom. I'll tell you a little about him, and I don't see him here, but I think he's watching at least. And I've had the pleasure of spending some time with him in recent weeks in preparation for this. He is a professor in the Department of Political Science at Lehman College, which is a City University of New York school. President Cheng is well acquainted with those institutions. And his areas of expertise are American politics and constitutional law. His research interest, publications, and teaching focus on the areas of internet law, information privacy, U.S. public higher education policy, and constitutional law. In 2020, Professor Bloom was appointed to the board of directors of the Lehman College Foundation. He now serves on the executive committee there, and the finance committee, and the governance committee of the foundation's board. He served on several major committees at Lehman, including chair of the Strategic Planning Council, the executive committee charged with preparation of the Middle States Commission on Higher Education Accreditation Report, and a faculty representative for the most recent Lehman College President Search. Ira holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from City College of New York and his JD from Harvard. He will take over Dr. Harris's role as chair of the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. He's a resident here in Connecticut, a fine, distinguished academic, gentleman, and leader. And we look forward to his support of our work and of all our students and the faculty and staff with whom we serve them. So welcome, Ira. We look forward to working with you in the new year, and thank you again for your intent to contribute here. I realize I did not invite President Cheng to say anything in particular about this. So if you'd like to do so now, President Cheng, feel free. If you were holding your remarks for your point on the agenda, that's fine too.
Thank you, Chair Fleury. I'll hold my remarks until later. Thank you.
Okay. And they turn out to be right around the corner. So you won't have to hold your breath too long. And indeed, that sums up what I have for you at this stage in the agenda. So let me then turn it to you, President Cheng. We look forward very much to hearing from you and from three of the great leaders across our system about the work of their campuses and institutions. And it's been really exciting to hear from those who presented previously. And I want to thank you for this format in which we get to hear directly from our institutional leaders. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair Fleury, and thanks to everyone on the board and for those attending and watching online as well. If it's okay with the chair and members of the board, I would like to actually delay my remarks until after the presentations by my esteemed colleagues who lead our institutions. I don't know if we need a formal kind of amendment or what have you. I'll ask our parliamentarian. Pam Helene is telling me no, so I will firmly trust in her direction. So without further ado, I want to jump then into the presentations by our campus leaders. We actually have three institutional leaders sharing information with us today. The first will be Cheryl Devonish. She is the campus CEO for Norwalk Community College, and I've had the real pleasure of knowing Cheryl for a few years now when we were neighbors down in Fairfield County, leading our respective campuses. And you know, I feel close to Norwalk because many Norwalk Community College students would become my students over at UConn. And so without further ado, Cheryl, please let me hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cheng, and good morning, members of the board. Really excited to be here today and share a little bit about what's happening here at NCC. I do have a short deck to share with you. Excuse me.
You should see it on my screen. Do you are people seeing the screen now? Cheryl, I have it up. So just tell me when to move forward and I will.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alice. So good morning, everyone. I'm Cheryl Devonish. I'm the CEO at Newark Community College. Again, really excited to join you this morning. Next slide, please, Alice. Or actually, I think I can manage it from here. Oftentimes here at NCC, when we begin the year at convocation, I often encourage our faculty and staff to really begin the year with the end in mind. Meaning as we start the new academic year, let's think about those students that we want to get through the year and ideally across that stage at commencement. And so although that tends to be my approach, today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to take us back. And so instead of starting in the future, I'm going to take you back to when NCC first started, because we have been really excited here to be celebrating our 60th anniversary. And so what you see here is an old image of the NCC campus. And then I included just a couple of points that really stood out to some of us as we go through all of the archives that we have here at NCC. So NCC is the first community college that was established in Connecticut. The cost per semester was $13. Initially, NCC only offered 3 degrees, and in our first semester, we had 143 students. But of course, now NCC looks drastically different. So after 60 years of being a part of this community, we annually enroll about 11,000 students. And so that includes our credit and our non-credit students. Most recently in the fall semester, we saw a little over 4,100 credit students. Right now, we're offering 59 degree programs and 19 certificate programs. So we are certainly growing and continue to thrive, and I'm very excited about the work that's been happening. As I mentioned before, NCC is also looking very different from how we originally looked 60 years ago. So just in terms of our student demographic, 42% of our students this semester are first generation students, so first in their family to attend college. 60% are women. 69% of those students identify as non-white. We are designated by the federal government as a Hispanic serving institution, so 40% of our students are Hispanic. 90% of our students live or work in Fairfield County, because more and more we are hearing from our students that they are working oftentimes a full-time job while attending NCC. To date, over the last 60 years, we have conferred over 25,000 associate degrees and 3,000 certificates. The image that you see here, for some of you, it may be the first time seeing, for some of you, maybe not, if you've already received our annual report. So the image here are mom and daughter, Tamika and Tiara, who graduated this past May from NCC. And more what we're seeing here at NCC is really education is a family affair. So we are seeing more graduates walk across that stage with siblings, with parents, and so we're really excited to be a part of their family and their future success. In terms of some of the initiatives happening here locally, and that has happened over the last 60 years, to date, NCC has been awarded over $12 million in federal grants that support careers in emerging health and science occupations. I want to spend a little bit of time kind of going through with you some of those most recent grants, one of which we are wrapping up this year. It is our Title V grant. It was a 5-year grant that was $2.3 million. And it was really a grant that allowed us to invest in redesigning critical student success initiatives and programs. And so our advising, registration, orientation, and so we have seen a tremendous impact in terms of the work that was happening in that grant over the last 5 years with regard to student success. And so you see here our student achievement rates increased up to 69%. Our retention rates also increased over time. What you also see here on the side is a little paw print. Many folks don't know that NCC actually has a school mascot, and our school mascot is the panther, the Black Panther. And so one of the things that we wanted to do with our Title V grant was really integrate the history and the prior success of NCC and see how we can scale up some of the great work that was happening here. And so one of the things that we developed was our PAW workshop. So it's our Panther Advising Workshops. And so every first-time student that comes to NCC attends one of our PAW workshops where they get really critical information about how to be successful here at NCC and as a college student. One of our other grants that we have right now, we were awarded in February of this year. It is actually a consortium grant that includes 5 of the community colleges. So NCC, Tunxus, Gateway, Housatonic. I'm especially proud that all 3 of the community colleges in the Shoreline region are members of this grant. And that NCC is serving as the lead institution. The grant is a $3.5 million grant that we received from the U.S. Department of Labor. But in addition to that, over $3 million has been invested in non-federal, state, and local resources. Some of our key partners on that grant, the Governor's Workforce Council, our Workforce Development Board, Yale New Haven Health, Stanford Hospital, Norwalk Hospital. As part of that grant, NCC has really invested in accelerating some of our workforce development programs, in particular our CNA programs, because we are seeing an increased demand in the healthcare industry, especially in our CNA program. And so just since February, we have been able to put over 200 students through that program who end with a certification as a CNA, and then also place them into employment immediately following their time here at NCC. If you are someone who is on social media, and I tend to be not extremely active, but certainly if you are on Facebook or Instagram, and if you are following NCC, you will certainly see that we often use the hashtag NCC Proud. Because there really is so much that we are especially proud about that's happening here at NCC. One of which is really the high quality instruction that our students are receiving from our dedicated faculty. And I'm highlighting here just a few of those areas in terms of especially with regard to what we're seeing, the impact of COVID. So with our respiratory students, we now have a clinical rotation at Yale New Haven Health in the pediatrics NICU. And so we were really excited to be able to expand there. Our students during COVID, they were not only attending NCC, but they were also on the front line. So our students were out there not only administering COVID tests, but also the COVID vaccine. And our students, especially in our respiratory program, continue to work with patients to restore cardiovascular functions who have really suffered through the COVID pandemic. Another thing that we're really proud about at NCC are our scholars. And so all of our students, we consider scholars. We also received a grant. We were one of 12 community colleges across the nation that was selected to work with NASA. And so you see here a few of our students that are in that program from the last cohort with the plan to start another cohort the following year. Because of COVID, our NASA Experience program was mostly online, but the plan is to really give those students a more traditional experience moving forward. I love to see the images here. So any opportunity that we receive to get students on campus to have that hands-on experience, we really want to make sure that that happens. But then of course, when we needed to be virtual and pivot, we were able to do so as well. In addition to our academic programming, we're also extremely proud of the work that we do in supporting student success. And so I want to just talk a little bit of time of some of the work that we've been doing in response to the COVID pandemic. Thanks to the generosity of our foundation, we continue to offer students emergency aid grants. To date, we have awarded over $90,000. And so this aid is in addition to the emergency aid that was provided through CSCU. And we track all of the work that we're doing, the outcomes as it relates to our students. And so we wanted to make sure that we're supporting our students so that they can get over those barriers to success. But we want to make sure that we also keep them connected so that ultimately they continue their education and ideally graduate, transfer, or enter directly into the workforce, depending on what their desire is. Some of the things that we noticed when students were provided the opportunity to get that emergency assistance for something that might have caused them to stop out, they ended up continuing. And so 95% of the students that were awarded aid persisted. 71% of those students either maintained or increased their GPA. And so we know that having access to that aid was really critical to our student success. The aid covered food, housing insecurity, students who might had difficulty paying rent, childcare expenses. They were submitting an application that was reviewed by two really dedicated members here at NCC, and we were able to get those processed very quickly. And so we're really proud of the work that was happening with that emergency aid as well. Here is just an image of us distributing some of the food packages to our students. So we continue to have a thriving food pantry. We see high levels of food insecurity, mental health challenges, and we are doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we meet the needs of those students. So we have faculty and staff that also volunteer, but here you're seeing some of our students who are volunteering to hand out some of those food packages here on campus. One of the other things that we are really proud about is really our vibrant community partnerships. And I wanted to just share a little bit about a program that we hosted over the summer. So NCC was one of 25 recipients across the state to receive an innovation grant award. It was through the Department of Education, Accelerate Connecticut, and it was a three-way partnership. So NCC partnered with a local nonprofit organization, Grassroots Tennis, and also the Odyssey Summer Camp Program. And the three of us together, we were able to provide summer academic enrichment program that addressed the learning loss that took place over COVID. The students who were here on campus this summer, we had over 150 students. They ranged anywhere from 5 to 18 years old. In addition to the academic program, we had workshops on social and emotional well-being. The students were really excited to be here on campus. And I have to say, I probably was even more excited than they were just to have more students here on campus and to see their smiling faces and to see the level of engagement and interaction with our faculty and our community partners. So here you'll see, so that program provided this last summer. It was a pilot program. For all the students who attended, it was free or low cost to their family. Some of the offerings that we had here, students were able to take robotics, mad science, where they get to do experiments, rocketry, where they were able to build their own rockets. They were able to explore our culinary kitchen, which many of them really enjoyed. Here you see us, I think we were baking cookies on that day. But one thing, that sticks out in my mind from this program over the summer that really just speaks to kind of the commitment and dedication of the faculty here at NCC The faculty member in the culinary program who was working with these students, one of the things that he said is that oftentimes when they would come in the afternoon, many would share that they were hungry and they weren't necessarily sure what time they would be eating once they got home. And so what he did was, instead of just limiting the culinary workshops to baking, where they could have cookies and cakes, and they would learn to make it and eat it, but then he also started incorporating some cultural dishes. And so students began to make Spanish rice, baked chicken, and they could take that meal home with them. They also were able to eat it here on the campus. And so it was really a great experience for me to see that. I think our faculty that were engaged in the program were really excited again. And of course, they all received tennis lessons thanks to our partners at Grassroots Tennis. So you see an image of the little ones who really enjoyed that as well. We also provided financial literacy skill workshop to some of the students and also yoga classes. And so it was really a tremendous opportunity for us to really start integrating some of our community partners back on campus. But also just another example of how kind of moving forward through this pandemic and addressing some of the disparities that we're seeing, how critical it is for us to really maintain those local connections, not only with our K-12 partners, but our local nonprofits. I'll stop there because I really just wanted to make sure that I gave everyone just a snapshot in terms of kind of what's happening and where we are, not only in our academic programs, but our student support programs and our community partnerships that I think are really those high priority areas for me. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Looking forward to hearing your questions and comments.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. So I'll just say real quick that the presentation just reinforces everything I've been coming to kind of learn and know more about your institution and your faculty, staff, your students, the scholarship, the engagement, the important academic programs that have real alignment with what folks are looking for these days. Community connections, and the student support is wonderful. So thank you for that. I'm going to recommend, because we have other presentations, that we move to the next presentation, and that that folks can, ask questions when all the presentations have concluded, so we can be respectful of time. So if that's okay, then we will move ahead. And our next institution and our next institutional leader is Dr. Joe Bertolino. He is the president of Southern Connecticut State University, and he's been a wonderful colleague to work with, and we share some CUNY DNA, and so we get to have some inside jokes on things once in a while. That's always a lot of fun. Dr. Joe runs, he and his team run a great operation, so let me pass it over to you, Dr. Joe.
Thank you, President Chang, and thank you, Chairman Fleury and the Regents, for providing me with this opportunity to share some highlights about Southern. I will just be speaking to you. I opted not to have a slide deck, so I'll try and keep my remarks brief. We have just completed the fall semester, and as you can imagine, that was pretty challenging in and of itself. But I think it also provided a healthy dose of optimism for the rest of the academic year. I have to say that one of the things that energized me the most about the fall was reconnecting with many people who, because of COVID, I hadn't seen in some time, especially our students. It was certainly exciting to see the progress when we returned of two major construction projects that are happening here. The Health and Human Services building, which is due to open next spring, and the new home for the School of Business, which is set to be completed in 2023. And I would love to invite you to come to campus to see those facilities when they are open and complete. It's a very exciting time, and they are fabulous. We're also able to host major events on campus. And these, I think, along with an array of student activities and the return of our athletics teams, Go Owls, revived the sense of, I think, a vibrant community that is Southern. I'll also share that our high level of COVID vaccination and a resulting low positivity rate, I think, gave us a wonderful platform for a successful academic year. I could not be prouder of the way our community has responded during this global crisis. Southern alums in particular, in nursing, education, social work, have been on the front lines here in New Haven and in Connecticut during the pandemic. So for us, we use the term Southern Strong during the global pandemic. I think Southern Strong is more than just a tagline. I think it's the truth, and it reflects who we are as an institution and as a community, and what we aspire to be now during difficult times and in the future. I'll share with you that one of the high points of the fall semester was our October site visit of the NECHI reaccreditation team. It came on the heels of an exhaustive self-study that I think says so much about what we've accomplished and what a strong and resilient institution we are. And I believe that thanks to these efforts, the NECHI team actually concluded its visit with an overwhelmingly positive exit presentation. So as a result, I am highly confident that we are well poised for successful accreditation. And speaking of which, our College of Education recently received full accreditation for its educator preparation program. And in Health and Human Services, the Department of Recreation, Tourism, and Sports Management had several of its programs accredited for the first time. And it even launched a new bachelor's degree in tourism and hospitality and its first completely online undergraduate program in sports management. So we are very excited about the work that they have been engaged in. Our School of Business has moved into the candidacy stage with ASCSB for accreditation, which is a premier mark of quality. I might add that this is highlighted by the largest gift in the school's history to support its leadership center. I expect that we will receive full accreditation for our business school next semester. In another piece of exciting fall news, Southern was granted a prestigious observer designation at the United Nations International Conference on Climate Change based on our sustainability efforts and our 2019 commitment to declaring a climate emergency. The faculty team was able to attend the conference in Glasgow, and in future years, observer status will provide opportunities for our students to participate in meaningful dialogue about global climate change. Our faculty have also excelled in successful grant applications. We've seen a record $8 million plus during the last year, and we've received $1 million national grants to enhance science and math education in the state's high needs school districts. And this is important. These grants will help us to improve COVID-19 vaccination confidence and access among communities of color in New Haven. So we are particularly proud of this partnership with the City of New Haven's Health Department. It also provides an opportunity to allow undergraduates from underrepresented groups with summer internships in plant health and protection at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. So if you haven't noticed, there is, I would say, a common theme in all of these grants, and that is providing access and serving the community, both critical aspects of our social justice themed mission. Our students as well have never failed to inspire. I thought I'd share with you that one of our recent Barnard Award recipients, a psychology major, Paul McKee, was accepted this fall into one of the top doctoral programs in neuroscience at Duke University. It's one of the top programs in the nation. But before he graduated, he actually worked with the SCSU Foundation to create an endowed scholarship fund through a personal donation of $25,000. I think that's a wonderful gesture. And in fact, I think it illustrates the commitment and the family, if you will, that we have created here at Southern. In addition, one of Paul's fellow Barnard awardees, I'm sure you've heard this, Asma Rahimar, became Southern's and the system's first ever Rhodes Scholar, a recipient of one of the world's foremost academic honors. Asma is now studying at Oxford University in England, and it is a remarkable story. She is a remarkable young woman. Her family immigrated from Afghanistan as refugees, and she has dedicated herself to the pursuit of human rights, providing, I think, an example for everyone to follow. During the fall semester, I and members of my leadership team worked to assemble a list of key priorities that will carry Southern forward, both in the short and long term. You've actually received a copy of these. If you haven't, they'll be sent to you via email, along with last year's video annual report. I would invite you to take a look at those, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that information and that documentation. I will share with you that our aspirational goal as a university is ultimately to be the social justice and anti-racist public university of Connecticut. In fact, with 46% of our students identifying as students of color, we are poised to become an MSI, a minority serving institution, a goal that we have aspired to, and we are very proud that we are at the cusp of achieving that, particularly in the New Haven area as an urban area whose demographics are shifting quickly, particularly in the Latinx population. I think that this social justice goal is influenced by the impact of the pandemic and the new economic and social realities faced by many members of our extended community. In fact, the financial pressures, and this was alluded to in the previous presentation from my colleague, financial pressures that many of our students face, I think have never been greater. Nearly 80% rely on jobs to provide for life's essentials, quite frankly, and yet many are still coming up short. Recently, we took another step to meet the need, obviously with the opening of Southern's food pantry, but also the opening of Southern's Social Services Center in our Wintergreen building that provides students with services tied to the community. The center was funded in large part by a remarkable $530,000 set of donations from a number of donors, who contributed during our day of caring. So I think that as we move forward, we'll continue to strive to address these challenges, advancing our mission of access and affordability and student success. Ultimately, with regard to our key priorities, I will share with you that in the coming months, our strategic priorities working group will be working closely with two external entities, ASCU, which is the State College and University Association, and EAB. And the goal here is to engage the community in addressing our new normal. Essentially, what does it mean to be a regional public university in a post-COVID world, and in this new higher education environment? I think that if the pandemic taught us one major lesson, it's the importance of versatility and nimble thinking. Indeed, it is what I think the next generation and this generation of students will demand and expect. So we must continue to work to create maximum flexibility in both curriculum and our services. There will be new avenues to explore in academic programming as the fallout from COVID-19 creates new areas of workforce emphasis and opportunities for private-public partnerships. Virtual learning is also clearly here to stay. This fall, Southern has around 70% of classes that are being offered on the ground, with 20% fully online and the remainder some type of hybrid. Now, this represents an increase of more than 10% in our number of virtual offerings compared with fall of 2019. And I think this is a byproduct of the pandemic. I think that is certain to become a growing feature of higher education moving forward. And so to remain competitive, we also need to continue to focus on our regional needs, workforce development, and industries of the future. We have been partnering with our neighboring community colleges, and we will continue to expand those partnerships. We're very proud of those connections with the community colleges in the Shoreline region. And we hope that we will continue to identify and promote nationally competitive degree programs. I'll also share with you that at the graduate level, we have seen a significant uptick in new students. We had a host of new programs approved for the fall, an executive master's in public health, a master's degree in applied behavioral analysis and physical activity and chronic disease, and our fourth doctorate, an EDD in counseling, education, and supervision. There were also an array of 4+1 programs, which allow students to earn a graduate degree in just 5 years, along with cutting-edge certificate programs in data science, cybersecurity, all geared toward current trends and marketplace needs. So as part of our focus on transitions to college and college preparation, we continue to examine basic barriers to access through the perspective of first generation, low income, international, rural, and BIPOC student populations. So for example, recently we gave a welcome return to CONCAP, a $327,000 grant funded program that supports high school students in their readiness for college. We greeted 50 10th grade New Haven students and their parents on campus. And so for the next 3 years, we will be providing academic skills development, career counseling, and assisting these students and their families with college preparation and introducing them to campus life. Southern is intentionally focused on providing quality service and a quality education with an ethic of care. We promote student well-being in all of its forms while creating the culture of engagement, a culture of belonging for each and every student. I am a social worker by training, and I usually get picked on for that because Joe is social working again. I think it is easy to say that background, the notion of an ethic of care, has informed the leadership here in creating this culture of social justice, advancing social justice and anti-racism on campus and beyond. Dr. Diana Riza joined us last summer, is our first vice president for equity and inclusion, And she, along with her team, are building a new division of equity and inclusion, which will help us create a community and culture of accountability committed to social justice. And as part of this process, we will look to build diversity and equity into relevant content for our curriculum while making data-informed decisions to review and realign policies and procedures that perpetuate inequity, racism, and bias. To that end, we recently established a new endeavor for the university, the Integrated Justice and Social Change Collaborative. Housed in diversity, equity, and inclusion, this will be an interdisciplinary hub and an umbrella for coalition building and engaged action to address and dismantle systemic and structural barriers to equity on campus and beyond. I think that as a public institution with a time-honored tradition of community engagement, we also look for ways to expand our reach and impact, opportunities for experiential learning, internships, and off-campus employment, new partnerships with area schools, nonprofits, the corporate sector. All of these abound. But excellent examples of this are BioPath, our longstanding collaborative with the city of New Haven and its burgeoning bioscience industry, and the Obama Magnet University School, which is on our campus, a K through 4 elementary school in partnership with the city of New Haven that is on the campus proper and works in collaboration with our College of Education. I think both BioPath and the Magnet School offer wonderful hands-on learning for our budding bioscientists and teachers in training. And our CARE program, based at Southern and affiliated with the Yale School of Public Health, is drawing national attention for its efforts to improve COVID-19 vaccine confidence and access in communities of color in New Haven, backed by a major grant from the CDC. And we've just learned of our successful application for an expansive new partnership with Yale New Haven Health. This will double by 2026 the number of nurses that we graduate from Southern, helping to offset a critical workforce shortage. And so I would say that in the wake of a crisis, strong communities work together to find positive ways to move ahead, and I'm confident that we are doing that.
President Joe, I'm gonna step in real quick because I
Thank
want to be mindful of time. And again, your leadership, your team's leadership, it's awesome to hear the incredible work that's happening on every level, the academics, the scholarly achievement, the community engagement, fundraising. I was able to be a part of one meeting for your NECHI visit. They were clearly blown away. And I'll just say, I so appreciate how public and how bold you and your institution are in being leaders in social justice and anti-racism. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do, and you're doing it. And I really, really appreciate
Thank you very much.
it. So thank you so much, President Joe. You're awesome. I'm going to kick it over now to Dr. Terry Brown, the leader of our Gateway Community College institution. So Dr. Brown.
Good morning, everyone, and Chair Fleury, Board of Regents, President Chang, thank you for this opportunity to present on Gateway Community College. And I'm actually going to start out with an apology because even if I had all day, I would not be able to begin to scratch the surface of all the wonderful work that is happening here at Gateway. The dedication, commitment, and the really great work of our faculty and staff here. But I will try and give you an overview and hit the highlights. And any of you are welcome at any time to come to the campus and see up close and in person what we do here. So, really what it boils down to, our mission is education and service for our students and for our community. So our mission reflects that, and I think that of the larger mission of the CSCU system And so really that is what we orient ourselves around, and everything that we do reflects in some way, shape, or form that twin mission of education and service. By the numbers, we are currently the largest community college in Connecticut. Our fall enrollment was 5,703 credit students. Most of our students, more than 2/3 of them, are part-time, but 85% of them are seeking degrees as their primary goal. We tend to trend towards an older student. We're mostly female. We're a majority minority institution. Over half of our students are students of color. We serve 79 veterans, and our students are disproportionately economically challenged. We're disproportionately first generation. We're disproportionately ESL. And so in many ways, Gateway Community College reflects not only community colleges in Connecticut, but also across the nation. I had the opportunity to offer testimony to a subcommittee of the U.S. House of Representatives chaired by Rosa DeLauro, and really had an opportunity just to share how we reflect the nation, not only in terms of who we are and what we're doing, but what we have experienced, particularly in this time of COVID. So, what makes us special? We actually have not only have a mascot, but we have many opportunities to celebrate it. We are the Gateway Lions, and so we have a great deal of pride about what we do. So, of course, we are clearly proud of our campus facility here in New Haven. It is LEED Gold certified. In fact, one of my associate dean of campus operations told me that, and I hope I'm not overstating it, that we were thrown out of a utilities savings program because there was not much more for us to save. So the technology that is in this building and in service for our students and their learning environment is clearly something we're proud of. We're a clinical college. We have the full range of clinical programs, from nursing to nuclear medicine to diagnostic sonography, nutrition, the DARK program, drug and alcohol resource counselors. We also boast the only full-time evening nursing program in Connecticut, and that offers some real opportunity for students who can't do during the day for whatever reason. We also like to think of ourselves as the infrastructure college. So we have critical programs in public utilities management and water management. I do want to sort of highlight something that President Joe referred to. The public utilities management program was developed jointly with Southern. And includes as part of its development a pathway from Gateway to Southern. It's seamless and fulfilling a critical workforce and infrastructure need. And I'm also very, very proud to call Gateway the transportation college as well. We have programs in aviation, in railroad, and in automotive. If I could use a cliche, trains, planes, and automobiles. And with everything that's going on in the region and where we sit, Tweed is expanding. We sit right next to Metro North and Amtrak over here in Union Station. All of this bodes well for our programming going into the future. Our automotive program, we are extremely proud of. It's one of only 2 in Connecticut. Students can earn not only their associate's degrees, but also certifications working with particular vehicle manufacturers. You all know this because we are always bugging you to approve vehicles that are being donated to our college by the manufacturers. But we recently had the opportunity to donate one of those vehicles to a new automotive program at Hill House High School here in New Haven. Skill Up for Manufacturing provides students with entry-level training and certification for manufacturing, and that is sponsored by the Workforce Alliance, our Workforce Investment Board. Gateway to College, nationally recognized, and I'm proud of stuff like this. This program serves students who are at risk for dropping out of high school. This is a partnership with New Haven Public Schools, and by the time they are finished, they can complete up to 30 college credits prior to high school graduation. They are this close to finishing their associate's degrees, and these are students that just a year or two before were at risk of dropping out. This is the transformative power of education and the transformative power of community colleges here in our state. Hamden Education Careers Academy, the HECA program. These are students at Hamden High School who enroll in a dual enrollment program, and they are taking Calc 3 by the time they leave, and they are on their way to becoming engineers and engineering technologists when they finish this program. Again, by the time they leave high school, they have earned significant credits in college. Step Forward is a higher order transitional program. So these are students who are experiencing a number of challenges, maybe intellectual, maybe cognitive, but we also serve them in terms of them achieving their career goals. And Gateway is the largest awarder of liberal arts and TAP degrees in our system. So it's not only the workforce and the career and the industry, but also we are a major transfer institution as well. Next one. I could do this all day. We're the only athletic program remaining amongst the community colleges. And so I will be sure to send all of you a schedule for our men's basketball team. We weren't able to mount the women's this year, but we hope to bring them back next year. We're proud of our services that we provide for students. Not only in the academic areas with tutoring, but also those wraparound services. As has been referenced by both Cheryl and by Joe, the pandemic has really laid bare the vulnerability of a number of our students, and we have a number of efforts here on campus to help address those needs. So that our students are at less risk for leaving school and not completing their goals. Like Housatonic and Norwalk, we host a family economic security program. And the last information I have, retention for that program as well as graduation was significantly higher than the college's overall retention. This is something that we are looking at as a model to replicate and scale up across the institution so that more of our students will enjoy the success that they need and quite frankly deserve. I want to say a word about our foundation, and I am just so incredibly proud and gratified by the work that they do. I'm just going to kind of capture this with two numbers. The first is 576. That is the number of scholarships and student awards that the foundation provided to our students this past calendar year. They work on a calendar year, not our fiscal year. And the other number that I'll throw at you is 674. That is the number of laptops that our foundation provided to our students, raised the money and provided to our students between March of 20 and December of, spring of 21. In this period of time of the pandemic, it has given out more scholarships than it ever has. It's given out more laptops than it ever has. It has provided more faculty grants than it ever has. Our foundation with the college has really risen to the challenge of supporting our students during this very difficult time. And I would be remiss if I did not throw a shout out to them. Gateway is represented in leadership in the system. We have AVPs in IMSA. We have regional advising directors. We have the accreditation leader for the Connecticut state who all came out of Gateway. They are probably going to kill me that I am calling them out individually, but I take great pride that Gateway is a place where leaders are cultivated. You all are very familiar with Professor Sasanker, who is one of our professors as well. And so we're proud that Gateway contributes in that way. Megan Deliveron, just a few others. Megan was the 2016 recipient of the Board of Regents Teaching Award. And the two ladies that I'm standing between, Clara Mena is the director of our educational services, our testing center. During the pandemic, she led the center, and for a while we were the only one that was open, serving not only Gateway and our region, but also the state. And Professor Louise Petroika did just amazing work making sure that our anatomy and physiology courses, which feed our clinical programs and are so important in our academic program, but not only the curriculum, but supported adjuncts, supported her colleagues. These are the folks that we have here, and I'm proud to say that this is one of those places where you don't have to convince folks that they need to go beyond their job description. The mantra is students are our job, and we do what it takes to make sure that they are educated and supported. I'm gonna skip through sort of down to the bottom. There are lots of things that we have going for us in addition to the faculty and staff that serve here. Our legislative delegation, business and industry, our community partnerships. Everyone wants us to succeed, and that's something that we are pleased and proud of. And just to give you a flavor of some of these connections and partnerships, again, it runs the range of public, private, business, industry. I like to comment that here in the New Haven region, we have practically every higher education option available to students, with the exception of an HBCU. And we enjoy such strong and supportive connections and relationships with Southern, with Quinnipiac, with New Haven, University of New Haven, with Albertus Magnus. It's just a really warm, supportive environment for higher education in the region, and something that we greatly enjoy. So if I could just end with a short and personal story. My wife is an alumna of Gateway Community College, and this is in 2010, and our son was much younger than he is now. She graduated from Gateway, and he is aspiring to being a freshman here next year. So both Cheryl and Joe talked about our institutions and what we do as being a family affair. That is unbelievably real to me. And it is my privilege to lead this institution, and really my privilege to work with the faculty, with the staff, with the administration here that do so much for so many.
Dr. Brown, thank you so much. And I'll just say again, I'm always so heartened and inspired to hear from our institutional leaders like yourself, like President Joe, like CEO Devonish. You all and your teams, you get it done every single day with your faculty and your staff. And we just so appreciate all the hard work and everything that goes into doing this work every single day. So thank you to all three of you. For the sake of time, I'm going to recommend to the board, if it's okay, that we refrain from asking comments or making comments or remarks right now, unless there's something absolutely burning and on fire. And we can direct those comments directly to the institutional leaders. We can always divulge some of that conversation publicly as is appropriate. But I hope that recommendation is accepted. And if I may just speak for the board, again, just a big thank you to all of our institutional leaders, our faculty, our staff, and our students who really just represent CSCU and the whole system and the whole state in such a proud and honorable way. So thank you all. Again, I'm not the best parliamentarian in the world. Is that okay, Chair Fleury and Pam?
That's great. We've got wonderful presentations and a lot to reflect on. And I know the door is open at every one of these institutions and all the others for personal visits. Many of us have done that. And it's always also enlightening and great to meet these leaders in person. We'll move now to the opportunity to address the board. And I'm going to turn to the Assistant Secretary to facilitate that process. Pam, over to you.
Thank you, Chair Fleury. In addition to the 7 presenters we have today, we've received 1 letter from the public, which has been forwarded to the regents in advance of this meeting. And in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act guidelines as amended during the pandemic, that communication was posted on the CSCU website immediately prior to the meeting start time. And with that precursor, I'd like to welcome our first student presenter. Her name is Francesca Palmer. She is a psychological science and English major at Central. Let's see if she's joined us. Francesca?
Hello.
Hi. There you are, and I can see you, and your audio is working, and your 3 minutes may begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, President Chang and members of the Board of Regents. My name is Francesca Palmer, and I am an undergraduate student at Central Connecticut State University. In just shy of a 10-year span, I have gone from high school dropout to graduating summa cum laude from Manchester Community College, and now I am 1 semester away from earning my bachelor's degree from Central. I owe my success in very large part to the hard work and dedication of CSCU faculty. As a first-generation college student who worked full-time to support myself while also balancing a full-time class load, it would have been all too easy for me to fall through the cracks and give up. But there were people in my life who wouldn't and still won't let that happen. My professors at MCC saw my potential, they encouraged me, and they guided me through everything from classwork to degree planning to career possibilities. When COVID hit, my professors at Central adapted their teaching and work as needed and fought hard for the success of all students. Earlier this semester, I experienced a traumatic loss in my family, and my professors have gone above and beyond to support me, not just as their student, but as a person. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I would not be where I am today or who I am today without the professors who invested their time and energy into my success. I am not the first student to have a story like mine, and I am far from the last. Though I will be graduating soon, there are plenty more young people like me to follow. Given the trauma and educational setbacks that the pandemic has caused, this generation will need more support than ever before. To that end, this board needs to be mindful of the way it treats the people who will be tasked with providing the brunt of that support, faculty members. When you treat them poorly, and your contract proposals certainly aim to do that, you will hurt students, particularly the most vulnerable students. I do believe that no one on this call wants to see that happen. President Chang, I attended your town hall at Central last month. You may or may not remember me, but I remember you, and the way you implied that I and my fellow students who voiced our contract-related concerns were being put up to it by our professors. These insinuations insult the union as a whole, the faculty within it, the quality of education in the institutions you now oversee, and the intelligence of the students enrolled in them, myself included. You shouldn't need me to explain to you why I, as a student and as a Connecticut resident, would be invested in seeing a fair contract for our faculty members. As a former professor yourself, I would expect you to know, just as well as I do, that the quality of education received largely depends on the quality of the educators, and high-quality educators know they deserve better than what they've been offered. When I received my associates in 2019, Connecticut Attorney General William Tong gave our commencement address, and his exhortation has stuck with me to this day. He celebrated the successes of our state, and then he encouraged students to stay here, put down roots, and fight to make Connecticut even better. So here I am, doing just that, Thanks to my community college and state university faculty. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, Francesca.
Thanks.
Our next student speaker is Somia Dode. She is a student at Tungus Community College. Somia, are you there? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, sorry. Can you hear me?
Great. Okay, and your 3 minutes may begin. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Somia Dode, and I am a student at Tungus Community College. I just really wanted to speak today because I've been going to Tungus for 6 years now, and I just got done with my last class yesterday, so I'm finally able to graduate. But for a long time while I was at Tungus, I was struggling mentally, and I was really close to giving up until I made the decision to make an appointment with the school counselor. I met a wonderful woman named Vivian who not only helped me navigate through my mental illness, but also gave me a plan on how I could graduate. I saw her every other week. She reminded me to get appointments with a psychiatrist. She helped me find the courage to find a therapist. She was in contact with my professors constantly and helped me get accommodations. She would let me relax and vent to her at her office, and she sent me home with meditation videos. And she really generated a sense of community at Tungus for me. And even though I haven't spoken to her since the pandemic started, her support still follows me to this day. She gave me so much hope and motivation that's helped me in becoming the first person in my family with a college degree. So I am so grateful for the staff and the counselors at Tungus. And I really believe that the extra support I received changed my life. And I just hope that my story really shows just how much of an impact mental health services have on a student on campus. And I truly believe they're one of the only reasons I didn't fall through the cracks. And I think that every student should have the opportunity to get this kind of support because it really makes a lifelong difference. And that's all I had to say. And thank you so much for having the time to listen to me.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Professor Cynthia Stretch from the English department at Southern. Go ahead, Professor Stretch, you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Your 3 minutes may begin. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Cindy Stretch. I teach at Southern. I believe I speak for many of my colleagues when I say we were glad to finally meet President Chang on his tour of the state universities. What we heard from President Chang on his tour of the universities were mixed messages. To be fair, we heard some causes for optimism. We heard President Chang position himself as a colleague who shares faculty DNA. We heard him promise that he did not take this job at CSCU in order to, quote, burn it down. We also heard him say that faculty rightly control curriculum and pedagogy. At the same time, however, we heard President Chang imply that faculty are not innovating fast enough, hard enough, innovatively enough to meet the needs of students who come to the universities because they want jobs. Maybe President Chang hasn't been at his job long enough to have heard about the constant generation of new programs, minors, and courses at the universities. If I had more than 3 minutes, I could list them. But if he were thinking like a colleague, he would remember that academics innovate constantly. We call it research and creative activity. If this board wants to hand the system keys to corporations eager to offload their training programs onto the public dime, please be honest about that so we can discuss the issue of privatization on its meager merits. But don't suggest that only administration is concerned about whether students get jobs. Nothing could be further from the truth. As a faculty member, I am acutely aware of my students' economic anxiety. My role is to understand their desire for a good job as one of the goals they want to meet, and to help them imagine what else might be possible with a true university education that helps them reach their full potential. We did hear President Chang say that he is willing to work with faculty on a robust lobbying effort to increase the budget allocations for the universities. We would like to hear him commit to join us in transformational anti-austerity work toward progressive taxation so that we are not constantly fighting over crumbs in appropriations. We also heard President Chang repeat what he must know is not true, The AAUP did not open with extreme proposals, and there is no acceptable or fair middle ground on due process for discipline, on democratic processes for the distribution of already scarce resources for creative activity, or on making our work week longer. What we didn't hear was how any of the board's proposals will make the universities better places for our students to learn. If the board wanted to work with faculty to address financial challenges in this transition period, you would be asking us what we do with and for our students that makes them want to stay, even in the midst of compounding crises over the last 2 years. You would be looking for ways to protect that so that we retain our integrity as an institution where we open minds and open doors. And I would just like to say in closing that we did lose a student on this call because she couldn't stay past 11 o'clock because of the rearrangement of the agenda and putting the public commentary after the comments by leadership who are literally paid to attend these meetings. So I hope you will rethink the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Professor John O'Connor, Sociology Department at Central. John, are you with us? I see you. John, can you test your audio for me, please?
Hello?
Professor O'Connor, can you test your audio?
Hello?
Okay, thank you. Your 3 minutes may start.
Okay. Good morning, President Chang and members of the board. My name is John O'Connor. I'm a member of the Sociology Department at Central. I last spoke to this board 1 year ago, just after contract proposals were swapped. Over the past year, CSU AUP members from all 4 campuses appeared before you and spoke on a whole range of issues and topics. The interesting thing is, and you may not have noticed it, we didn't have to repeat ourselves once. Different people, different topics, but the same message. This board's contract proposals were shameful and they're destructive. All tours, whether they are of a musical or a speaking variety, tend to be more flashy than substantive. Such was the case with President Chang's recent roadshow. CSU AUP appreciates that President Chang, after 4 months on the job, decided that a formal visit to our campuses was warranted. President Chang heard CSU faculty. He acknowledged that relationships within the system are terrible. He acknowledged that faculty members feel hurt and disrespected. He acknowledged that the BOR proposals raised both of his eyebrows, not just one. He acknowledged that he doesn't want to burn it all down. The question now is, what do we do about all of that? On the one hand, President Chang likes to talk about the need to talk. And on the other, he asks faculty to have faith that he is working behind the scenes. Well, maybe, but we all know that the solution is simple and clear, and it's not about meeting in the middle. Just take the nonsense proposals off the table. With that act, you could reset relationships, you could quell the disrespect, you could give your eyebrows a rest. You could show us that you really do not want to burn it all down. Members of CSU AAUP understand that our system has challenges. We get that. We don't deny it or dispute it. The question is, how do we meet those challenges? President Chang has embraced the university as a business model in which a sustainable contract, i.e. management rights, is linked to a value proposition resting on mysterious market-driven innovation and corporate partnerships. Education, thus, is reduced to the art of the deal, with students being reduced to nothing more than consumers. For CSU AAUP, our approach to the future is much different. We think the CSUs need to be driven deeper into the communities from which our students come from. We want to build on the transformative work that faculty members do in the classroom. Our union believes that supporting, developing, and funding 6 priorities: family, equity, inclusion, diversity, free inquiry, community engagement, is the path that will help to empower our students to reach their full potential and contribute to the economic and cultural development of our shared communities. CSU AAUP sees its contract as a social justice document. It's a document that helps protect the quality of education we provide. It is the basis.
Professor O'Connor, excuse me, your 3 minutes is up. Could you wrap up very quickly,
Sure,
please?
absolutely. It is the basis upon which faculty members open minds and open doors. To attack the contract is to attack our students. We ask you to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Professor Ann Spinelli from the Mathematics Department at Central. Professor Spinelli, could you check your audio for me, please?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Your 3 minutes may begin.
President Chang and members of the Board of Regents, I am Ann Spinelli, an adjunct mathematics education faculty member in the Department of Mathematical Sciences at CCSU. Over the years, I have taught a variety of math content and methods courses required for teacher certification candidates, supervised student teachers, and have taught remedial math courses such as intermediate algebra. I would like to discuss the positive impacts adjunct faculty have on students enrolled in our Connecticut State University systems. So many part-time faculty within my department and the university system work tirelessly on such a modest salary to support our students in achieving academic success and are extremely passionate about their respective disciplines. Central has a very special place in my heart. Like so many of our students, I was a first-generation college student and completed my undergraduate and master's degrees here. The education I received at Central afforded me many professional opportunities for which I am very grateful. Teaching as an adjunct enables me in a small way to give back to the university and help support students navigate the university system and learn to advocate for themselves to achieve academic success. Like so many of my adjunct colleagues, it is the authentic real-world experiences we bring to our classrooms that enhance our student learning outcomes. For me, my experiences teaching in elementary classrooms, serving as a mathematics coach, providing professional development, co-authoring textbooks for elementary and middle school mathematics, and serving on advisory committees at the State Department of Education afford me the opportunity to share expertise and tacit knowledge to better prepare my students for future careers in mathematics education. The key to retention and academic success at universities is ensuring students feel supported and connected. So many of my adjunct colleagues are willing to go above and beyond to provide additional support. Some come to campus on days outside their normal teaching schedule to provide extra office hours to accommodate students' schedules, even meeting with students on weekends, both in person and virtually. One student in particular that I have mentored over the years, Gina Rivera, recounts that it was a course I taught designed to infuse new researched standard-based instructional strategies that gave her the confidence to believe that she was capable of being a successful middle school math teacher. She is the daughter of Portuguese immigrants, and when receiving a State Mathematics Leadership Award in 2017, she stated this course was a pivotal moment in her career that inspired her to become a leader in mathematics. She pursued a 6-year certification in mathematics education at CCSU after completing her master's here. This year, she was elected Vice President of the National Council of Supervisors of Mathematics and has recently co-authored a number of books and articles related to math education. She is a great success story for CCSU. And in a dedication note in one of her recent books, she thanked me personally for all the support and mentorship I have provided over the years. In conclusion, I hope that this begins to shine a light on how adjunct faculty are a valuable resource and important in making a significant and positive impact to the education success of our students in the state university system. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Professor Susan Gilmore from Central. Susan? Susan, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Hi, great. Okay, you settled in? Okay, super. And your 3 minutes may begin.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Hi, my name is Susan Gilmore, and I'm an associate professor of English at CCSU. Today, I'm reiterating something that I shared with President Chang on his visit to our campus a few weeks ago, because you all need to hear it. You need to know that to meet the demands of teaching during a pandemic, my colleagues and I knocked ourselves out. Let me give you a timeline. In March 2020, we pivoted, spent weeks reinventing our courses for online formats and reaching out to our students. We devoted the summer of 2020 to learning all the available virtual and hybrid platforms we'd need for teaching through the academic year ahead. Come fall 2020, many of us put our lives on the line pre-vaccines, teaching on campus so that we could be there for our students and keep our colleges afloat. So in December 2020, at the end of this extraordinary semester, when your board delivered your contract proposal, it landed like a kick in the gut. Your proposal doesn't ask us to do more with less. It asks us to do too much with next to nothing. We gave you a fair contract proposal, and you slashed it red line by line, notably eliminating articles guaranteeing faculty roles on promotion and tenure, termination hearing, and mediation committees. I've served on the mediation committee for years and can attest to the difficult, necessary work it does. Your contract proposal threatens shared governance systems that aren't broken and don't need fixing. Say what you will, your proposal isn't about students first, or demographics, or financials. It's about aggregating power and fattening up an already bloated administrative tier. You can change this. You can come to the table. You can turn this around. If you truly want to put students first, you need to stop thinking of them as industry cogs and start thinking of them as our state's future visionaries, creators, our teachers, our leaders, and you need to empower them by empowering us. We can't foster our students' success under a contract that disenfranchises and demoralizes. With a fair contract, we can, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gilmore. Our final speaker today is Seth Freeman, 4C's president. And could you check your audio, please? Seth Freeman, are you there?
Oh, hello. Sorry about that, Pam. Can you everybody hear me?
Super, yes. And your 3 minutes may begin. Thank you.
Members of the Board of Regents, I'm here to address you today on behalf of community college employees to express our outright frustration, anger, and continued disgust with this board. I provide another detailed written statement this month to document the continued hypocrisy and mismanagement of this board. Please read the written statement. CSCU and CSCC managers continue to exercise hostile, anti-worker, and anti-democratic values toward your employees. This includes CSCU managers lying to employees and the public, CSCU managers attempting to instill fear in your employees and build a culture of conformity, and Chair Fleury and President Chang using tone policing to silence criticism. Simply put, this board should be ashamed of yourself for the damage you have done and are doing to our higher education system. In my written statement, I talk about the Board of Regents' refusal to address the over-reliance on adjuncts and part-time employees in community college system, CSCU managers refusing to pay adjuncts for required training, CSCU managers harassing employees for protesting at Middlesex Community College, CSCU managers holding the promotion process for community college employees hostage, but relenting after legislative pressure, CSCU managers continuing to prevent staff from teleworking, and Provost Rook lying about it and abdicating responsibility, Board of Regents offering to give us requested contract language if we publicly support consolidation and stop contacting our elected officials, and the Board of Regents' alliance with and subsidization of the anti-union, anti-worker law firm Jackson Lewis. Read the statement. I challenge any member of this body, really any resident of our state, to read that statement and not be outright ashamed at this board. Our union understands who our enemies on this board are. We directly trace the anti-union, anti-worker, and anti-democratic actions of this board to the unholy corporate alliance between this board and the anti-union, anti-worker law firm Jackson Lewis. In your service to the corporatist, capitalist Jackson Lewis, we see that this board is not grounded in liberal and progressive values. Rather, like Jackson Lewis, You slavishly serve austerity and corporate greed. You serve anti-worker, anti-democratic interests that are ravaging working people and communities of color throughout our society. This is the opposite of equity. This is disgusting, and this board should be ashamed of itself. Chairman Fleury, this is why your employees understand this body as being fraudulent. Again, read the statement. We see every day in your overt and covert actions your rank hypocrisy and lack of commitment to equity. As we end this year, community college employees ask each and every member of this board to take account for your actions. Think about the way you have attacked your employees in 2021. Think about the ways you have lied to the public. Think about the way you have failed our communities and failed our state. Each and every member of this board will be held responsible for your actions. Governor Ned Lamont is also on notice, and he will also be held responsible. Our fight for our members continues. As this board fights for corporate control of our colleges and universities, our unions will continue to fight against you and fight for the values that we believe in. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Fleury. That ends our public comment.
Thank you. Thanks to those who took the time to comment. We appreciate you doing so. President Chang, is there anything you'd like to add, or should we move on to the board business at this point?
Chair Fleury, if I may, I'm just going to take about 3 minutes for my condensed remarks and for response. The speakers who spent their time today with us deserve a response. So I'm going to start my remarks, if I may, with a quick update. Many of our leaders from across CSCU attended the NECHI conference, the New England Commission of Higher Education, where all of the presidents, provosts, and institutional leaders across New England came together. It affirmed 2 things for me. First, whether we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, workforce development, mental health support for students, or guided pathways, CSCU is not only heading in the right direction, we're really leading the way, and that was incredible. And I just want to be really clear. We don't just belong in this arena. We are leaders in this arena. And NECHI made that very obvious, and I think we should shoulder this responsibility with great pride. Second, seeing our folks at the conference with institutions large and small across New England, it reassured me that once we're able to really galvanize our efforts across CSCU, and clearly there's a lot of work to do, but it's going to be exciting. We have the chance to shake the state with our impact. So NECHI was a great experience for me for the first time, and also seeing all of our folks there. It was referenced by some of our speakers about my campus visits. I did indeed visit all 17 of our campuses, experienced really wonderful hospitality from each campus. I want to thank everyone who came to a meeting, whether that was in person or virtual, and the campus leadership that orchestrated these visits. A lot of work went into that. So in total, I probably met with more than 1,500 people, virtual and in person. And as you can see, there was a lot of dialogue with many different constituency groups. I'm grateful for the dedication and the focus, that commitment that our faculty and staff and our administrators demonstrate every day, because it is all about our students. And the candor and the engagement of the honesty shown in the meetings, and also here, it's passionate, it's intense at times, and but it's real, and I appreciate that. The visits really helped me to understand even more, not only where we are right now as a system, but how we got here. And the visits helped me see an even more crystallized vision for the future. And I really believe we can build towards that future together. So I'm inspired by our students, and I apologize. Sometimes I get into back and forth with folks, and I'm always teaching myself the lesson of intent versus impact. And so, again, I've apologized privately. I'll apologize publicly. I don't mean to offend folks, in some of my remarks, but if that happens, I will own that. I'll be responsible for it. Our students are inspiring. They're awesome. They know the value of education. They don't take things for granted. They know how hard their faculty work. They care about their institutions, and they're not afraid to ask hard questions. And, I would expect no less. So I know that we're, in a tough place right now. We're navigating choppy waters, and I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but I really feel confident that we're really, at the end of the day, we're actually on the same page, because all of us, board members, administrators, faculty, staff, students, we want the best for our colleagues. We want the best for our institutions. None of us want any of our folks to come to work on any given day feeling bad. And we got to work hard together to find that better place. We want the best for our campuses. And again, we just want to try to get to the same place. So again, I've said it publicly, I've said it privately. The team and I are committed to listening, learning, evolving, and we're going to continue to collaborate and work together across the system. We're not always going to agree, and this is part of the process. And, I appreciate getting to know folks more and more through this type of engagement, and we'll continue to do it. And, like I've said before, I come to work every day relishing that challenge. So the last thing I'm going to say, this is the not goodbye, but until we meet again section. I just want to say thank you to Regent Harris. You've been amazing in the short time I've been able to work with you, a guiding, steady force. You've been awesome to me as a colleague. And so I just so appreciate you. I want to say thank you to David Levinson and Jane Gates. Again, both of you deserve that emeritus status. You've given so much to the system. And, you're going to be missed, but you are going to, you're not going to get away from us completely. And I just want to say thanks again to Mike Rook for stepping in as interim president, Ken Klitschnick for stepping in as interim provost, and I welcome Ira Bloom coming on to the Board of Regents. So that concludes my report, Chair Fleury. Thank you.
Thanks. Professor Blitz's hand is up. I presume a question with regard to your report.
Well, it's actually two comments. I find myself in the somewhat difficult situation of asking Pam to sort of time me for 3 minutes, as if I were one of the people in public comment. We had asked for an agenda item for report from the FAC. And I think that that's an issue that we have to come back to and discuss, to have a regular report from the FAC to this board as part of the normalization of relations that I think is beginning, but is still obviously something to be accomplished. I refer back to the September 2020 report of the FAC, where we asked for three things. One was the joint meeting with the Board of Regents, as required in Section 185 of state statutes. Secondly was a regular report from the FAC, as there is regular reports from the various committees of the board. This would be report from committee for the board, as established again in Section 185 of state statutes. And thirdly, for the restoration of oral presentations for public commentary. Two of those three things are now in the process of happening. And I think it was positive that we had a joint meeting of the board and the FAC last month. And as we've just heard, sometimes for difficult to listen to, but nonetheless, oral public comments are essential. And we have now, between now and the next meeting of the board, which is February 24th, time to sit down, the leadership of the FAC, leadership of the board, and of the system, and work out this question of regular reports from the FAC. So I'm not going to take any more of your time on this issue, but just to footnote it as something to which we wish to return. Secondly, there's an issue which I would have liked to have seen and which would have been part of our report, and that's namely the vaccine mandate. I'll just say a few words on that. It's clear that we have a meeting of the minds between the leadership of the CSU and the leadership of the FAC on reducing non-medical exemptions, on ensuring compliance for reporting and testing, and as well, this new issue of the booster with respect to the evolving Omicron variant. That said, there is an issue which I wish to draw to your attention now, because it is an issue that has to be resolved between now and the beginning of classes, which I believe is scheduled for January 21st. And that's the availability at the community colleges and all the universities of the requisite software for uploading proof of vaccination and also attestation from the appropriate medical or religious authorities for those who are seeking exemptions. There's indication that we have had that this is not something uniformly available, in particular at all the community colleges. And I wish to draw attention to the fact that we have over 60 information technology specialists at the system office, hundreds of millions of dollars that has come in HERF money. And it should be possible between now and the beginning of classes on January 23rd, and I see my 3 minutes are up, to make that available to all the campuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Blitz. Appreciate it. I see Professor Sasenker has her yellow hand up as well. Please go ahead.
Yes. So I just want to, follow up with, agreeing with everything that David has said, but just to really repeat again that because of the sort of negotiation that we've had about having these meetings that are described in the statutes as needing to exist no less than twice a year between the FAC and the BOR, and between the SAC and the BOR, we've only really met with you all for an hour, and it was so rushed that there was no time for a sort of thoughtful, engaged back and forth. And I think, the public comment combined with this meeting, I think it makes very clear how much need there is for engagement and discussion and devoting the time necessary to really have productive conversation. So I just want to, we are coming out of one of the most dramatic years in anyone's memory for for higher ed generally. And we are going into a year where the plan is to apply for accreditation for consolidated college that will imply that the 12 community colleges will cease to exist. These are really dramatic years. And if there's any time that we should be encouraging engagement, it should be now. I think we have missed quite a bit in the past year, but I just want to reiterate the need for these meetings and I know that we are working towards them, but the need to really have engagement, not only with the faculty advisory committee, but with the student advisory committee, to make sure that we are hearing clearly what the experiences are at the colleges, because this is not something that we can theorize about, and it's not anything that we've ever seen before. So I just want to make sure that I say that clearly. Thanks.
Thank you both. President Chang, did you want to respond to any of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think the more dialogue we have, the better. That's how we're going to get there. And I just think we need to continue to figure out what the best mechanisms and platforms are. And, I think we haven't found the right balance yet, and we'll just continue to do that. But, I and my office, we're here for it. So I'm not in disagreement with anything that Dr. Blitz or Dr. Sasenker just stated.
Thank you. If I could just ask you to take under advisement the question of the duration of the next joint meeting. I think you yourself, felt that, an hour passes awfully quickly. This morning's an excellent example of that. So, we'll keep working towards making sure we can have enough time for a fulsome conversation. I want to note that I appreciate that there is follow-up work happening as a result of that last meeting, which is how we can get some work done. And I do know that we all share Professor Blitz's concern about the pandemic. What happens next with boosters and policy, et cetera. We're all struggling with that, and appreciate the continued advocacy and concern about that. And we'll continue to work together on that. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st and November 18th meetings?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or amendments suggested to the minutes? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Good, we have minutes. A motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I so move. I second.
Thank you. And we have a second. Any questions or comments about the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Consent agenda is adopted, again recognizing all the work therein. We have, I think, but one committee report, and why should that not come from the chair of the Academic and Student Affairs Committee in her final moments with us? Regent Harris, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I do have a report. First of all, I want you to know that we spent a lot of time at our ASA meeting honoring Jane Gates. We are going to miss her. I know her colleagues are going to miss her. And we were glad to have the opportunity to formally thank her, as she wasn't able to make this meeting today. The other thing we did spend time on is an information item was on KPIs, which are our key performance indicators. And I want you to know that the ASA is monitoring those numbers and will report periodically to you, or have someone report on how well we're doing in improving our student success. And this is key to what we're doing, and so tied into the pathways issue and the single college. So I will sure that Professor Bloom, Regent Bloom, will be back to you with that information periodically. We have one action item today, and that's on page 225 of the agenda. And it is a proposal, a policy that will allow for a new degree program in the central Connecticut, the Connecticut system, across the system. It is called a nexus degree. A nexus degree is not an associate's degree, it's not a bachelor's degree, it's not a master's degree. It has been implemented in the state of Georgia in their public university system, and has been brought forward to us by Provost Gates. She studied this and felt it was an important thing to have available to our institutions. Before I explain a little bit more about what it is, I want you to know that this is a proposal, a policy. There will be no such program, no such degree, unless faculty are engaged with other entities in the state to bring this forward. So it's just allowing this to happen. It is not instructing that this happen. I want to make that very clear. What is a nexus degree? I didn't realize that we haven't had a new degree since the 1890s. That's when the associate's degree was established in the United States. So this is really novel and very innovative. It is a direct response to the need for talent in high demand career areas. Georgia just recently graduated its first group of a cohort of Nexus degree recipients in December 2020, and that was in film production. But I'll give you an example of the areas that Georgia is pursuing. They're pursuing Nexus degrees in aerospace, blockchain, cybersecurity, health informatics, information technology, and supply chain management. And we certainly need people in supply chain management today. We know that. Who's the degree for? A whole array of different kinds of people. I shouldn't even use the word degree. It's really a credential. It's people who have not ever earned a degree. It's people who have earned a degree but want to transition into a high demand field. People who are already in a bachelor's degree program but would like to add a targeted credential. And people who work in high demand fields and want to advance along the way up the career ladder. So it encompasses many different kinds of learners. The important things are, it has experiential learning as part of the program, and there is an employer partnership. Those are the two important things. It also will provide for opportunities for multi-campus collaboration, which I think is extremely important. It is an important way to respond to building a strong Connecticut workforce. And it doesn't take away from our foundation of liberal arts education. This is always there and will always be there. I am a graduate of Central Connecticut State University. I have a degree in chemistry from Central, and I know the importance of a liberal arts degree because I had that as part of my program. But this allows people to enter in different ways and learn, and also continue, and very often will get those liberal arts courses as part of the program and beyond that program. So I would like to present the resolution on page 225 and call the motion and respond to questions if there are questions.
Thank you. So I take it you are moving it and we need a second?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, we have a motion and a second and time for discussion or questions. Professor Blitz, I see you. You think you're muted still.
Sorry.
There you are.
My question is, you mentioned that it's not a degree, and it seems to be some kind of certificate, but in the whereas clauses, it talks about it as a 60 credit degree. And so I'm a little confused as to what the status of this would be. And let me add, there's a second question which I had, which is how do we distinguish between this Nexus degree or certificate at the community college level and at the university level?
First of all, it would, at the community college, it would really take collaboration to build this kind of a degree program, because as you read, it's not a 60 credit program. It is includes 42 credits of general education, 18 credits of additional coursework, 12 credits of supervised learning and experiential learning. So it's not, it goes beyond the 60 credits that you would need in an associate degree program. It is a degree, a certificate could be embedded in this as well, and then you could go on to a Nexus and then a bachelor's degree. A certificate has fewer credits in it. It's not as comprehensive, and it often doesn't include the general education core that this would include. The general education core is extremely important in this, so that you have the skills to advance in the field. So it's different than our traditional certificate programs.
David, if I may, and Regent Harris, if I may, I would say that as Regent Harris noted, this is it is the kind of approval of a framework, right? And that's exactly how I would think of it. It is a framework for a certain kind of credential that has a very targeted purpose and need. So that's how I think about this, and I think that's how we would look to engage faculty and partners who would sculpt that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Very good. It is definitely, that's what it is. Framework. It's not imposing anything. It's encouraging thinking about this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I am taking it, Regent Harris, that you believe the resolution as crafted captures the distinctions that were just discussed.
Yes.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, so it is carried, and we thank you. Do you have anything to add?
No, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity again to work with you, and thank you for the honor that you have given me. I appreciate it deeply.
Thank you, Merle. The honor has been ours. Thank you. We do not have reports from audit, finance, HR admin, but we do have an item for executive committee. And we met for a special meeting briefly on December 14th to consider the formal appointment of Dr. Michael Rook as interim president of Connecticut State Community College. And I'd like to ask the assistant secretary to read as much of this as is necessary into the record, and that we all have it in our materials and it was provided in the advanced materials.
Super. This is a resolution appointing Dr. Michael Rook as interim president of Connecticut State Community College, dated December 16th, 2021. Resolved that Dr. Michael Rook is named interim president of the Connecticut State Community College effective December 31st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, or until such time a permanent president of CT State Community College is hired. Resolved that under the terms and conditions of the CSCU Human Resources Policy for Management Confidential Professional Personnel, Dr. Rook will not only serve as interim CT State President, but also continue to perform the duties of his position as president of Northwestern Connecticut Community College. Resolved that Dr. Rook shall receive a salary biweekly of $9,578.54 in his role as interim Connecticut State Community College president and Northwestern Connecticut Community College president, and that Dr. Rook will return full-time to his position as Northwestern Connecticut Community College president upon the conclusion of this interim appointment. Resolved that CSCU President Terrence Chang is authorized to enter into an employment agreement with Dr. Rook on behalf of the Board of Regents for Higher Education in conformity with the above referenced terms and policies. Chair Flurry, that is a resolution in its entirety.
Yes, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Ryan, and a second.
Second.
All right, great. Regent Bud, why don't we give that one to you, and thank you. Any questions or comments concerning this interim appointment? I'd like to just thank Michael. He's been, a terrific leader and continues to be. We're really fortunate that he has been with us and leading the charge on so much of our design for the institution of the future. So I know that Regent Ryan will be wanting to be sure that he continues to be a presence in the beautiful confines of the Winstead community and campus, and I know he'll be there as well. And would you like to add something? I see your hand up.
Yes, I would. I just want you all to know that there's no question that Dr. Rook is truly a hero throughout all of Northwest Connecticut and the region, and has been very successful in establishing a collaboration and a wonderful partnership with the entire business community and the community at large. So to see him in this greater role is very exciting for all of us, but we do need him in our region too. So thank you. And thank you, Dr. Rook.
Thank you. Well said. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? We are unanimous and grateful. So thank you, Dr. Rook. Wish you a happy holiday and look forward to your return in this new capacity. So I think we are at the end of our agenda, a little extended from the appointed time. And thank you for giving us your generous time this morning. We've got a lot done, and I'd like to wish you all a warm and happy and safe, above all, a safe and healthy holiday season, and look forward to seeing you in a new year, which hopefully will be more promising, and look forward to those times. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
And a second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oddly enough, that's unanimous as well. So thank you so much. Wishing you all well. Enjoy your holidays and be safe.
Thank you.
You
everyone.
as
Happy
well.
holidays.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Merle.
Hi, Merle.
Bye.
Bye, Merle.